Okay, guys, apparently Kiely has been found at the Prosser Reservoir. That is the latest news. Adventures with Purpose has found her. I was in the middle of making a video about Kiely when I saw this. I'm going to include the rest of that video behind this news, but I wanted you to know the news. It's very sad news that Kiely was found. That's all I know at the moment. Good morning, my true crime friends. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Sunday. I'm T, and this is Bed Crime Stories podcast. 16-year-old Kiely Rodney hasn't been home to see her mom or dad in 2 weeks now, 16 days. And yet some kids who are at the party are, according to law enforcement, being uncooperative and refusing to answer questions. Sammy Smith, Kiely's party buddy, left Truckee, California this past Monday with her parents to go to Montana. We've all watched as Sammy stumbled over her words during the chat with All-American Dream Chaser. The stumbling made her look deceptive. Also, observing Sammy show up on so many different YouTube shows and interviews made her look like a limelight chaser. Maybe she was enjoying the power of being in front of a camera. We've also heard that Sammy was not really a close friend of Kiely's. She was more of a party friend. One of Sammy's friends, though, a young lady named Kate Cuneo, has said that Sammy's been acting as the unofficial spokesperson because she helped plan the party, and she feels responsible for Kiely going missing. Kiely's mother has also stated publicly that she's grateful to all of Kiely's friends for being so courageous. So let's try and trust that Kiely's mother knows what she's talking about. Also, if anyone is harassing Kiely's parents and friends, they need to stop. These people are going through hell. Never make any person's hell worse than it already is. Now, law enforcement is saying that they have yet to identify a single person who saw Kiely leave the 200 to 300 person campground party. It was announced late last week that the number of law enforcement officials working on the case has been reduced. It went from 300 personnel in the beginning to just 91 now. I was listening to Sergeant Bill Cannon on Duty Ron's channel last night, and he actually thinks it may be a good thing to have fewer people working on the investigation. I'm going to try to trust that Bill Cannon knows more about that than I do. It does make my heart sink, though, when I hear that things are being scaled down. Apparently, the base camp that volunteer searchers had at the campground is also being dismantled. It's very disturbing to hear this because it's only been 2 weeks since Kiely disappeared. The only thing that has happened to Kiely Rodney herself over the past 2 weeks that we know of with certainty is that she was assigned number MP94324 in the NamUs database of missing persons in the United States. That's a club no parent wants their child to be in, including Aiden Clune, Dylan Rounds, and the list goes on. Instead of joining NamUs, Kiely should be at college studying to be a doctor or music, and maybe joining a sorority. I noticed that Kiely's NamUs entry now states that she had not one but 2 tattoos. We'd heard that she had the number 17 tattooed on her ribs. Well, now it says that the number 17 tattoo was actually on her right hip, and that she had another tattoo of a cross under her left breast. Is it possible that Kiely got that second tattoo without her mother's knowledge? Is that why the cross tattoo wasn't mentioned in the initial description? It's been said that everybody has 3 lives: the public life, the private life, and the secret life. I think it's probable that Kiely had secrets from her mother even though they were extremely close. Let's face it, all of us probably have secrets that we've never told our parents about, and they too have secrets from us. Dylan Round's mother has said that she's learning things about her son that she never knew. We're hearing reports that some of the 200 to 300 partygoers were underage, and that they're afraid to come forward. And we've also heard of isolated incidents of parents encouraging their kids not to talk. Are these the ultimate helicopter parents who swoop in when their kids may be involved in a classmate's disappearance to whisk them away to their next fun adventure so that they don't have to face the consequences of their actions? If so, that's whacked. There's nothing calm, peace-loving, or zen about encouraging your children not to say what they saw. We've also been hearing about bong rips, cocaine, and magic mushrooms freely floating around this fun little party. I have trouble seeing this as fun because even psychedelic mushrooms sort of scare me. I'm sorry, but it's no longer good fun when one of the partygoers doesn't return home to her mother and father when they haven't seen her face or hugged her for 16 days. The hope Kiely's parents felt on the Saturday after the party may be slowly fading as they come to grips with the fact that Kiely, if she could get home, would get home, meaning that she can't pull off that feat right now, no matter how smart and strong she is. What makes this party different from those parties of past years? Well, one thing is that Kiely, although a senior, was only 16. Whip smart, she managed to graduate a year early. After Kiely's best friend Megs left the campground party after just 10 minutes that Friday night, did Kiely find herself not with her actual close circle of friends, but rather with an older group of kids who didn't really know her all that well? Kiely likely was closer to her 16-year-old peers. Kiely was homeschooled apparently by her mother through a charter school. Were the older kids at this campground party into things that Kiely had yet to experience as a 16-year-old? Did they maybe find it amusing to see young Kiely get wasted and stumble around? Some people have said that Kiely was already drunk by 8 or 9 p.m., well before the 8 o'clock hour that Sammy and Megs have said was when Kiely arrived at the party at the Prosser family campground. That's just hearsay, though, so we can't depend on its veracity. Law enforcement has now confirmed that they have video of Kiely from earlier in the evening at the party wearing the white sweatshirt with pink lettering that says Odd Future. So there was a party, Kiely was at it, and she was filmed wearing the white sweatshirt. Law enforcement has also said that they're not releasing that video so as not to compromise the investigation. By the way, we're also hearing that Kiely had her laptop in her CRV with her that night. I'm not sure if that detail has anything to do with her disappearance, but let's put it down in our notes. Another person who's come forward to talk is Kiely's mother's best friend, a lady named Marika Beck. Beck said this in an interview with the Sun newspaper. We have been told she may have been with one or more older boys. Around 12:30 a.m., these guys showed up and it got kind of weird. A lot of the younger teens chose to leave at this time. It was meant to be just teens in the woods. They party there all the time. It's unregulated. And it's not a campground, end quote. So Marika Beck's words to the Sun tell me that the mass exodus of vehicles at 12:30 a.m. wasn't older guys on their way to another party, but rather Kiely's classmates leaving the campground area, the sanctuary, because they didn't like the vibe coming off these older guys who showed up at the party. Marika Beck thinks it's possible that Kiely was trafficked, and she's asking for borders to be closed down. And, in fact, on August 16th of 2022, this year, just a few days ago, the FBI, in a nationwide operation, announced that it had just rescued 200 trafficking victims. The youngest victim was 11 years old, and the average age of these victims was 15. Kiely is 16. The operation was called Operation Cross Country. In total, 141 adult victims of human trafficking, 84 minor victims of child sex trafficking, and 37 missing children were located during the initiative. Tragically, we can't rule out this possibility for Kiely. Unfortunately, trafficking against adults and children is far more common than we realize. Kiely's ex-boyfriend Jager has said that he told Kiely not to do anything stupid at the party that night. Did Jager know the types of substances that typically are available at these parties? Is that why he cautioned Kiely? I've tried contacting him but haven't heard back. It's been said that Jager lives 3 hours away in Napa and that he has an alibi. Well, that's been said, but we don't have that confirmed by law enforcement. I don't think Jager has anything to do with Kiely's disappearance. That's just my gut feeling. My gut says that these drugs are likely involved in this case. I feel like Kiely might have been given something without her knowledge, or she might have taken something. I don't know. We've also seen texts allegedly from parents of a girl who attended the party. The girl told her parents that Kiely was out of it, sort of stumbling around. I'm wondering why none of these kids offered to drive Kiely home. Was it because Kiely was so strung out that they would have needed to roll up to her house and basically push her out of the back seat and onto the lawn and then take off before Kiely's mom could see who was driving? I'm just wondering here. That's wild speculation. I'm just trying to figure out why nobody was concerned about Kiely's well-being that night. I know they're all kids themselves, but it's upsetting to hear this stuff. It's been said that Kiely texted her mom around 11:30 p.m. asking for an extended curfew. Her mother agreed that she could stay at the party for 45 more minutes. So that means that Kiely should have left the party at 12:15 a.m. Some say that they don't think that Kiely wrote that text to her mom, but I think she did. She may have been buzzed, but thanks to years of fast texting off the small iPhone keyboard, I'm sure it wasn't that difficult for her. Per Kiely's mother, Kiely is really good about letting her know her whereabouts and if she's going to be late. Note that Kiely lives 12 miles away from the Prosser family campground at a place called the Lost Trail Lodge, which her family runs. Someone else, I believe it was Sammy, has said that Kiely told her mother that she was going to be the designated driver for her friends that night, and that's why Kiely's mom said it was okay for 16-year-old Kiely to attend the bash. Kiely had originally planned to go to a car show in Reno that night with her mother, and she changed her mind at the last minute. At midnight, a girl named Elsa Pekarak allegedly saw Kiely at the party, and supposedly Kiely said that she wanted to go home. Note that this information has not been verified or confirmed by law enforcement. We've also been told that after Sammy and 4 other people were in Kiely's car charging their phones Friday night, Sammy got out and found another ride home because she said that Kiely was too intoxicated to drive. Sammy also said that she thought Kiely was either going to sleep over at the campground or get a ride home from someone else. The unverified rumor is that Sammy got a ride home from a male. Sammy also said that she was the last person to speak to Kiely. Per Sammy, Kiely called her at 12:36 a.m. to ask her if she had a ride home, which makes no sense whatsoever. But Captain Sam Brown of the Nevada County Sheriff's Office stated that the last known ping from Kiely's iPhone was around 12:30 a.m. near the Prosser Creek Reservoir. Could Kiely have called Sammy at 12:36 a.m. if her phone last pinged at 12:30 or 12:33 a.m.? Brown also said this of that ping. However, just because it was last pinged there, that doesn't mean that's where the phone stopped pinging. There are lots of reasons why those notifications or data points could be lost. End quote. So that is rather confusing. Some people are saying that Kiely's phone was turned off at this point, but it doesn't seem like that's 100% true or confirmed. What we can say for sure is that Kiely's phone is missing, Kiely's missing, her CRV is missing, and she's no longer communicating with her phone. I read today on SF Gates' website that Kiely's friends last recall seeing her at the campground sometime between 12:30 a.m. and 1:30 a.m. If this is true, that pushes the timeline of Kiely's disappearance out. I originally thought 12:30 was pretty much the hour where things went dark. My thoughts were that between midnight and 12:33 a.m., that is when Kiely was no longer able to phone her mother or anyone else. Now I'd have to say that if this 1:30 a.m. time is true, then somehow the timeline extends a little bit. We heard early last week that a number of vehicles left the campground at 12:30 a.m. Everyone was speculating that this mass exodus of cars was due to partygoers headed to yet another party at another location. However, Marika Beck, Kiely's mother's best friend, is saying that the cars leaving at 12:30 a.m. were actually classmates of Kiely's who were departing because of the sketchy older males who had just turned up at the party. This is making me very upset because if Elsa Pekarek really saw Kiely at midnight and she was saying that she wanted to go home, and then Kiely's phone last pinged at 12:33 near the reservoir, and supposedly someone else saw Kiely at 12:40 a.m. or up until 1:30 a.m., all of this leaves Kiely at the campground location where these adult males were. And Kiely at that point would not have had the protection of her so-called friends because Megs was long gone from the party and Sammy Smith had also left. If Kiely wanted to leave, did she leave? Was she part of that mass exodus at 12:30 a.m.? Was her car somewhere in that line of vehicles? It's possible, but why was her last ping then over at the reservoir at 12:33 a.m.? Law enforcement is saying her phone went out of service around this time, and then they said, and it has not been turned back on. And why now is this article on SF Gate website saying that Kiely was last seen between 12:30 and 1:30 a.m., and yet no one saw her leave the campground? Note that Kiely had plans to go camping the next day with friends, and she was supposed to meet those friends at a Starbucks at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. When Kiely's mother woke up at 8 a.m. and discovered that Kiely wasn't home, she drove to that Starbucks to see if Kiely was there or if she would turn up. And sadly, we know the outcome of that. Kiely did not show up. In the photo that is allegedly from the party that night, we see partygoers with their backs to the camera and their heads all sort of turned in the same direction. Is it possible that what they're all looking at is whatever was going down with Kiely? I don't know the timestamp of that photo, but it's a very eerie image. We were also told that a fight went down at the party. Some say it was just a boxing match, all in the name of good fun. More of that good fun, right? But law enforcement just says a fight occurred. When law enforcement says it, it doesn't sound benign. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So who was the fight between? Why was this fight even mentioned if it was simply a boxing match between friends? Is this fight somehow connected to Kiely? For today, let's pray that if Kiely and her CRV are in the water somewhere near Truckee, that the guys from Adventures with Purpose can find her. But more than that, let's pray that Kiely is not in the water, and that the reason for that is because she's alive and she can be rescued from whatever is keeping her from getting home. Adventures with Purpose is searching not only the Boca Reservoir, they were also out at Donner Lake. I believe they are planning to check out at least 12 bodies of water. Something interesting that one of the guys from AWP said was that there were several parties at Prosser Campground on Friday night. There were also parties over at Donner Lake as well. In fact, a tank top was found between Prosser and Stampede, but apparently that tank top did not belong to Kiely. Adventures with Purpose has 2 boats with them and 6 people. They said they're not going to leave until they clear every body of water in the area. We've also heard from a PI named Steve, who is searching in the area, that law enforcement has all the cell phone data from the tower where Kiely's phone last pinged. That is going to be very helpful in tracking down who was where and when early Saturday morning. Stay tuned for more updates. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories. Hey, do me a favor. Smash that like button, leave me a comment, and subscribe.